shop Otto and Andy's after my two grandfathers. Otto, whom you've already met, and Andy, who owned an automotive garage in Lacombe. This is a pivot wheel off my neighbor's mower. Sometimes people bring me things to fix or help them weld, and when they do that, I feel like I'm following in my grandfather's footsteps. What is craftsmanship?
Craftsmanship is not only taking the time to do whatever it is you're doing, but to do it well and to a high standard.
Why is craftsmanship important at this time in history?
For many people, a return to craftsmanship or entering into craftsmanship as a job or a career provides a much more fulfilling work environment than simply working menial labor. It also has the benefit of creating a new class of better quality products for the average consumer.
Are we seeing the return of craftsmanship as a career choice?
Yes, I think so. Over the last century or so, increases in mass production, decreases in cost, and increasing availability in international shipping led to a culture which was geared towards simple, cheap, disposable products. You bought something, you used it, it broke, you threw it away, and you bought a new one. I think today we are seeing the folly of that and are leaning back into a desire for well-made, long-lasting goods. And I think that this will help bring back craftsmen as a viable career choice, not just for unique one-off items, but for things like repair, refurbishment, and for everyday household goods, not just specialty items.
If you could change one thing in our social structure today to make room for a craftsman culture to develop, what would you change?
The idea that a craftsman is somebody who works solely in a non-mechanical way. A craftsman and craftsmanship can be applied to whatever task you are doing in front of you. There's a phrase that I like, anyone can create. And I think that this applies to craftsmen and craftsmanship as well. No matter who you are or what task you're doing, you can put in the effort and the time and the passion to elevate it from a simple task to a craft.
I found this hammer at a garage sale. It was an old guy that was selling off his tools as he was kind of winding down life. And I bought this hammer from him because it's got a lot of experience.
Oh, terrific.
Did you tire?
Is it still hot?
It's still hot.
Well, I don't want it then. Put it right down there. That's fantastic.
Okay.
Terrific. Thank you kindly.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Is technology and artificial intelligence the end of craftsmanship?
Absolutely not. It takes craftsmanship to create those. Many people have the view of craftsmen as using only hand tools or old technology. Modern tools are good and can help us to do some things better. Just as a woodworker might use a table saw instead of a hand saw. In many ways, technology has made becoming a craftsman a much more accessible process.
How does craftsmanship connect the past to the future?
It's passing on traditional or older methods and knowledge. And these are important for both historical reasons and from knowing where one came from. We assume that the modern world is at odds with the craftsman, that the digital era has pushed out room for these kind of traditional craft. When the truth is, there is just as much room for those kind of traditional crafts, and in fact, even more exposure and reach for them through modern digital media tools. People have the idea that craftsmanship and craft are applied only to unmechanized or old-fashioned things. The truth is that craftsmanship can be applied to any task, whether that is a physical product, the repair of something, or even the production of computer code, programming, or even making a video for YouTube. All of these have incredible room for craftsmanship and for craftsmen.
Here we are. This is the fire up. We're going to see if we can make this thing run. Good oil pressure.
Okay, here we are. Maiden voyage.
No.
Maiden voyage with a dead battery. How is this thing loud? It's the cool look. Elbow out the window. This goes with the territory. My name is Don Albers, and my craft is welding, fabricating, and turning old antique vehicles into works of art. I have my grandpa's, my dad, and my shop teacher back in high school to thank for the interest they showed and the skills they've passed on to me. When I was 18, I was a little bit lost, wondering what I was going to do with my life. I worked at an automotive garage, realized I didn't want to be a mechanic. I tried my hand at welding for a year, realized I didn't want to be a welder. Things really came together for me when I worked at a young offenders ranch in Headley, BC. These young people had been sentenced for 6 months, and instead of going to lockup, they would go to this work program. And I discovered my passion there was taking the practical skills that I had and working with people. So my real craft is mentoring and coaching others. That's what I really care about. That's what I want to pass on to others. I realized at a certain point that the hot rods, the shop, the welding, is just a backdrop for great relationships and important conversations. So what can I pass on about mentoring that would help you pass on your craft to someone else? There's a 5-point framework. So number 1 is identifying what your craft is. What's that thing that you're really good at? What's that thing you're passionate about? What's the skill that you have that somebody else would find valuable? Identify your craft. Number 2 would be to embrace the value of investing in others. There's a saying that I like. It's don't look only to your own interests, but also the interests of others. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I like the balance of it. It says that you can have interests of your own, but don't spend all of your time, all of your money, all of your passion on yourself. I've discovered that that can be a really empty way to live your life. Look to the interests of others. So that would be the third point. Who's interested in what you do? Who's in your circle of influence? Take a look around you and consider the interests of others. Invite them into your circle. There's 2 ways that that can happen. One would be like my grandfather did for me. When I brought home that 55 Chevy, he came, had a look at it, and showed an interest. And he said, hey, I've got something you need. Can I help you? And that was the invitation that started a deeper relationship with my grandpa. When somebody seeks you out, make yourself available to be approached. My daughter, she's a great baker. And one of the things she does really well is bake sourdough bread. And I asked her to teach me how to make sourdough bread. So I sought her out. Number 4 is meet up around your craft. Whatever it is you do, invite the other person into that place of doing it. You could be fixing old motorcycles. You could be making pizza. You could be a carpenter. Whatever that thing is that you do, meet up around your craft, and you know what to do there. It's your skill. You know how to pass that part on. And number 5, when you do meet up, remember that it's not just about passing on your craft. There's more that happens as you pass on your craft. The craft is just the backdrop for some great things to happen.
Pretty sweet.
There are 4 things that are going to happen when you pass on your craft. These are 4 bonus things that you might not think about. The first is that you're going to develop competence in the other person. As they develop competence, it's going to give you an opportunity to give some affirmation and some recognition. Everybody longs to be affirmed and recognized for what they're doing, and there's a lot of opportunity when you're passing on your craft to say, way to go, good job. I remember I was teaching a young guy how to run the drill press with a 3-way vise, and it was a little complicated. From the very first time that Cale ran that drill press, his head and his hands worked together in a coordinated fashion. And I was just able to draw that out and say, do you see what you just did? Not everybody can do that. And I was just able to affirm him. When the head, the heart, and the hands start to work together, there's a sense of that competence that goes inward. They start to feel good about what they're doing, and they recognize they are good, so they can do good. The second bonus that happens when you pass on your craft is that you begin to make a connection with people. Everybody wants to be known. You take time to ask questions and get to know them, ask their opinions on things, ask their interests, just get to know the person. As you get to know them, you'll discover that they're valuable, they're worth something, and you can communicate that to them as you build a relationship with them. In the midst of our relationships, we experience joy. It comes out as we have camaraderie and as we horseplay, as we goof around, as we razz each other for mistakes that we've made. There can be great joy in the relationship. The other aspect of connection is that when you take your time and you give to somebody else your craft, you're passing it on, your time, and you're not expecting anything in return, that's a real act of love. And it has a great impact on a person's life. The third thing that happens in the context of passing on your craft is that you develop stability in a person's life. There's a routine that you develop. Teach them the rules, teach them the habits, teach them how to operate the equipment, teach them the safety that goes with it. Set some boundaries, put some rules in place, and let them wrestle with those rules. All of those rules bring stability and create a sense of security within that routine. People begin to feel like they belong. On Thursday nights, we call our guys the Tecton crew. It just gives them a sense of identity and a name. Stability also brings with it a sense of peace. There are times where people will come and they'll be learning their craft and things are great. Other times there are people that are coming from a place of drama or trauma, and what they need is a place of peace. And you can provide that in the routine and the stability that you create. The fourth bonus that comes along with your craft is that sense of achievement. As they accomplish something, as they go from the basics to being able to do something complicated, they get a real sense that they've taken on a challenge, they've taken on a risk, and they've succeeded at something. And you can affirm that along the way. As they take on that challenge, their sense of achievement builds within them that connection between their head, their heart, and their hands. And for your craft, they can go, I can do this. But what happens is that translates to life. As they step out into other things, they've got that victory experience. They've got that place where they were able to do it. And they can take it on in life and go, I can do life. That's what happens when you mentor someone in your craft.